welcome to another episode of Entrepreneurs in Fuego. We're documenting the journey of incredible entrepreneurs. My new best friend, Dr. Phil Tabor.
Francisco, pleasure to meet you.
Dr. Pay per click.
That is correct.
If you're not paying, it's not working. If you're not paying for your ads in social media, I can post pictures of my events and everything else, but
Yes.
not much return there.
Yeah, so I do managed AdWords for e-commerce businesses.
Right.
So I'm not a huge fan, I'll be honest, of social media. I'm a bit of a Luddite in that respect.
That's a kind of a little of a paradox. I mean, it's just what,
Well, so I do managed pay-per-click on the AdWords platform, which is Google's main source of revenue. So
Okay.
I do a little bit of Facebook stuff for myself, but not for my clients. And that's because I don't think likes translate into sales, right? Although I could be wrong on that.
So does it work? If we're
Yeah.
not if we're paying, it works.
Yes. So probably everybody watching has been pitched by SEO people at some point in the past.
No.
Never. I'm sure it's never happened.
Everybody wants to put me on page one. On
Yeah.
Google.
So
What?
that's the sort of the most public face of digital marketing because they do so
That's
much
the
cold.
hook.
Yeah, they do so much cold outreach. Pay-per-click is a more kind of analytical, data-driven way of actually generating traffic. So you only pay when someone clicks, so you only pay for actual traffic, and you get real-time analytics on whether people are buying or not, which is of course very important if you're selling products, right?
Right.
So I'm able to demonstrate to my customers, oh, you're getting a 5 to 10 to 1 return on your spend, or maybe some other areas where it needs improvement, they're only making 25% more than they spend.
If you click and if you buy, then it pays off because the click might cost $10, and if you buy an item of $300, I can see the return.
Right. So I typically work with people that sell products in the $100 to $500 range, and I only like to deal with people that sell products because it's easier to sell a product on a website than it is a service, right? People can see the product, they can see the value proposition, whereas if you're selling a service, really it's a little bit harder to sell a service on a website, right?
But here's the other thing, though. There's just so much space in my screen. So there's the question of who gets to appear, even if you have 5 or 6 or 7 clients that may be in similar products or want that space. What determines who gets that space?
So the order of how people appear on the page is determined by a couple different factors.
Right.
One is the amount they're willing to bid. Google, of course, will reward you for bidding more because that
Bid
gets...
for words.
Correct.
Okay.
Bid for the correlation between the search and the actual
All right.
keyword. So if you bid more, you can move up, although it's not a viable long-term strategy because that means you spend more money, right? And that eats into your margins as a business.
So give me an example of that, so that I understand.
So if you're selling, say, dog beds online,
All right.
you could pay between $1 to $2 per click. If you bid $5, then you could move up in the rankings and get more traffic, although you wouldn't necessarily get more sales, right? Because people are impulsive about clicking on the first thing they see. So
Okay.
the other flip side of that is to actually improve your profitability, you need to improve the quality of the ad, right? So
The quality score, what it's called.
yeah, the quality score. That's
Okay.
determined by essentially the quality of the ad. So the old rules of marketing still apply. You still have to have, good copywriting skills to actually generate sales in a profitable way, rather than just throwing more money at the problem.
So it's not an automatic thing. So what we should expect as users, when somebody comes knocking on our door going, hey, I'm going to put you on, you're going to make all these sales and I'm the king of SEO and everything else, we have to kind of go back and think that ad copy, the old traditional, it's got to be a catchy ad, it's got to be compelling for people to click. It still very much applies. Not just throwing money behind it that is going to make you, a superstar sales corporation.
Right, we still have 100 years of learning from advertisements on TV and in print that still apply, right? I mean, there's a reason companies still spend money on Super Bowl ads because, right, it still works.
It still works.
You have to leverage everything we've learned over time instead of just assuming that if you appear on page 1, you're going to get more sales, because that's not always the case.
You mentioned that you're not so much of a fan of social media. Is that what I understood? Is that
that is what I said.
Is that a fair assessment? All right. And you're not such a big fan of social media. Why specifically?
Because I'm a Luddite, more or less. Yeah, I'm stuck in the 1980s, I guess. Maybe that's the reason.
I think I was stuck in the 1980s. I'm a kid from the 1980s, man.
Yeah, so I think it's a good way for branding. It's a great way to interact with your customers. I'll acquiesce at that point. So
To
if
give
you-
presence.
Yeah, to give presence. But as a
Alright.
way of driving business, I'm not necessarily convinced, although obviously I'm just a small player, so I'm not going to purport to be the expert on that topic.
Well, this will surprise you, is that we've interviewed several key marketing people, people that I respect, that absolutely agree with you. That, you know, one millennial who owns a terrific company here in Phoenix and does incredible advertising. Her name is Danielle Stevens. She owns The Darkly, and her whole platform is you know, don't expect any ROI from social media unless you do some kind of pay-per-click, smart, compelling advertisement. You might as well, you know, post pictures of your food, of your cat.
Right.
Cats.
He-
She's got cats.
My cat has many pictures on Facebook too.
She's a cat. I mean, if I see another cat picture, but anyway, so she says no, it doesn't. She absolutely agrees with you. Millennials are leaving social media and just maybe going through other platforms.
Right, so that also depends on your target market, right? I'm not necessarily marketing to millennials. I'm looking for people about my age range that have a stable business. Right. So they are on Facebook, but you're also competing with lots of cat videos to get their attention, right? So pay-per-click is growing on Facebook, and it's sort of an analogous situation to what we had in the early 2000s with Google, where the cost per click hasn't been driven up by the market. So there are still opportunities in paid advertising on platforms like Facebook and Instagram. But as far as just boosting a post or posting a picture of your cat, I don't expect it to drive business.
Are we being unfair when we talk about the different social media platforms? And we say, oh yeah, you got to be on Instagram, LinkedIn, yeah, okay, Facebook, yeah, Twitter. And somebody would say, Google Plus, no, don't worry about it. You don't have to post there. Are we being unfair? And why?
I'm not active on Google Plus, so I don't actually
There
know
you
anybody
go.
with it,
That
so-
proves my point.
Yeah, so it really depends on where your target market is, right? If they're on one platform, then you need to be there, and if they're not on the others, then don't waste your time or effort on that platform, right?
How often is there an optimal number of postings, or let's say in your business, is there an optimal number of clicks or exposure that you should be in your campaign, or is it helter-skelter? I mean, whatever, I'm just going to load up here at this particular hour, or do you spread it out?
So
how does that work?
Yeah, that's a good question. And so that's part of the value I add. I'm a former Intel process engineer, so I'm driven by looking for ways to lean out systems and make them into actual processes you can follow. So
Right.
I basically follow the data, and it will depend on, again, the target market. Some people are more active at other times of day. If you're searching out professionals, for instance, they're only going to be on LinkedIn for a few hours in the morning and then a few hours in the evening, right? They won't be scrolling through it during the day.
LinkedIn, a few hours in the
Yeah,
morning, like between like what times?
7 a.m. to 9 a.m. is
7
good.
a.m. to 9
And I know
a.m.
this because I spam about 1,000 connects, and between 7 and 9 a.m. they all roll in. So I found that out through actual experimentation.
And then what time? Is it later
After
in the
5
day?
p.m.,
After
5
5
to 6
p.m.
p.m., yeah.
All right, so early in the morning, and then about after 5 p.m. Okay, LinkedIn.
Yeah.
What else?
Basically, think about what you do, right? So you're probably a normal person, so you seem pretty normal.
You don't
talking
know
to
me.
I don't- Oh, okay.
You
fair
have no
enough, but
idea.
I would say that just use yourself as a model, right? And assume that other
A
people...
model I am.
Definitely. I shouldn't be sitting next to you. You make me look so bad, man.
Phil Tabor, man, you're too much, man.
Thank you.
And so if one company wanted to contract your services, what do we do?
You can contact me through my website, phdppc.com, or you can find me on Facebook as Dr. Pay-Per-Click LLC.
PhD PPC. When he gave me that website, I didn't get it until right now. PhD doctor.
Yeah, Dr. PPC was already taken.
Yeah, well, I'm just too slow, man. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for coming to the show.
Thank you.
With that, we're out.